Hey everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, welcome back to the Baseball Head. Hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So I decided to do this video for you for tonight. I was so happy that the Mets are going to postseason. I just wanted to sort of give you more of my thoughts about this wonderful game tonight. Today. So many people have been talking about it, just in terms of sort of the historical context. I kind of agree that this is probably the greatest regular season game the Mets have ever played, with such big implications for the postseason. They've never played a game like this. The closest, obviously, is the Al Leiter playing game that they played in 1999, where they played in Cincinnati when they tied for on the last day of the season. But aside from that, really, and also, this might be the second greatest game in Mets history in terms of the drama late, because the Mets were down by 3 runs late in this game. A lot of people have been talking about the 86 game against the Astros in Game 6. And now, obviously, they eliminated the Astros in that game. They didn't do that today. But the point being is that it was a roller coaster because, first of all, the Mets, their history with the Braves and Atlanta in particular. All the years that they've gone down there and have been just a mess. They don't hit, they don't pitch well, and they didn't pitch well and hit well at all last week. And this was not, I was hoping they would have played much better in Milwaukee this past weekend. But I thought a lot about all the bad years. 98, Mets lost the last 5 games of the season, the last 3 games in Atlanta. The Braves took great delight when they took the Mets out those last 3 games. And 99, obviously, in the NLCS, the Mets were down 3-0 in that series. They fought so hard in Game 5 to get that game down to Atlanta. And, the famous Robin Ventura game of the Grand Slam single. And then we saw how they lost Game 6 in Atlanta in such a terrible way, and they were winning in that game. But be that as it may, we know about, if you remember as well, the Mets were making a late run in 2001, and they got killed in Atlanta. I remember there was a big home run by Brian Jordan against John Franco, I guess, ended the game. And then, of course, 2 years ago, when the Mets just didn't show up, they didn't have any good pitching there. Max Scherzer didn't pitch well, Jacob deGrom didn't pitch well, Chris Bassett never showed up. They just sort of walked over the Mets. And there's not a lot of good feelings between both franchises. Both franchises hate each other. I know a lot of us were very, very bitter last week, including myself, about the fact that they screwed up the rain outs and the hurricane. But that's how enormous this win was today, just the sort of the context behind it. I mean, the Mets have not played well in Milwaukee, but it's a different kind of mentality. The Mets have played well in Milwaukee historically the last 20 years. But in Atlanta, it's been a real disaster, really going even back to the 80s, late in the 80s, like those great Met teams. The Mets have struggled in Atlanta. And they had this kind of win, and even though they lost the second game, it says a lot about how they're a very resilient group. They're a team that nobody gave them much of a chance to do anything this year. I mean, I think, except for myself, maybe I don't think anybody else online has talked about how this team, we need to give this team a chance. We need to give this new general manager a chance, to give this manager a chance. And a lot of people just were always destroying them, saying they don't do this right, they don't do that right. And again, like I said, so many of these clowns from WFAN were mocking this team, mocking these players, calling them schmucks, and basically saying that they're not going to do well, that it's going to be a punt season, the Mets are going to punt this year. Well, they didn't punt, obviously. The Mets promised us, Mets front office and Mets ownership promised us that they were going to get this team to the postseason. That was a goal that they set, and they reached that goal. Sometimes you don't get there, especially with the Mets. They don't get there a lot of times. But this year, they set a goal to do it when nobody else thought they could, and they did it. It tells you how now everything is getting into place now. with this organization. We have a great owner, a great front office, and a great manager, and now we have the players that are able to do the job. And it's about the team. It's not about one individual. Although one individual has stood out, and that's Francisco Lindor. And I give him so much credit because so many people have been hard on him, including myself. And I only want the Mets to win. That's all I care about, to be honest with you. That's all I want, is the Mets to win, win, win. You never stop winning. And if they don't win, I get very uptight. And we've seen too much losing over the years. And I feel like, and I felt this way for the last 3 or 4 years, that this team needed to be run much better than it had been. I have felt since 2001 that the Mets were on the same level as the Braves and the Phillies. And for bad manager was there, bad management, not really quite the on-point front office was holding them back. Now, we had bad ownership for a long time. We don't have that anymore. He's brought in David Stearns, who's done a great job. And now I feel with this manager who's hungry, he's aggressive, he makes all the right decisions for the most part. You know, nobody's perfect. But this team has a real good chance to go far in postseason. I felt really good on Sunday when the Mets were going to play the Brewers, that they were going to win the game. I felt good today in that first game. When they went down 3-0, I was like, look, if they're going to win this game, they got to get Schwarber back out of the game. Because they have all these comeback wins against that bullpen. They need to do whatever they need to do to get him out of the game. You know, and it's funny, even when Diaz gave up all those runs, gave up those 4 runs in the 8th inning, I felt that the Mets still were going to come back in this game. I felt pretty good against the Braves, because they felt, well, they beat up on the setup man, they beat up on the closer. Who they have left to get the last 3 outs? And sure enough, Mets got a man on base, and Starlin Marte on base, and Lindor had that huge home run on the first pitch. I was pretty confident because like I said, the Mets have been beaten up on this bullpen this year. They had 4 comeback wins against against the Braves bullpen. And Lindor was ready. And I can't tell you, because I didn't have the video. I was screaming here at the hut, just watching this game and just having a lot of fun with it. So I felt pretty good when the Mets got to the bottom of the 9th inning that they were probably going to win. It was nerve-wracking. And you saw me if you watched the video. I'll put the link in the description of this video. You'll see how nervous I was watching it. I wish I'd gotten the reaction to me to that whole 8th inning. That would have been a lot of fun. But the Mets are right where they need to be. Again, I feel very good about them playing against the Brewers. Some people are saying, well, it's not a great matchup. It's not. Okay? The Brewers have a good bullpen. They have good starting pitching. They're very athletic, and they run like crazy. I would expect that Edwin Diaz will not be available in the first game in this series. I would expect that Adam Ottavino will not be in this 3-game series, because you cannot have him on the mound with all these players, all these guys stealing bases if they get on. So, and plus he's pitched a lot since Friday. He pitched on Friday, pitched on Sunday, and he pitched on Monday. So he's pitched 3 out of the last 4 days. I don't expect him to be on the roster itself. So I feel very good with the Mets going into Milwaukee and basically putting their best foot forward. Got to get the first game. The most important game the Mets will have to play this season will be that first game in Milwaukee. I don't have the pitching matchup for the Brewers. I know the Mets are going to be sending out Severino. We've known that for the last few days. If the Mets had won that first game, that Severino was going to pitch the game in Milwaukee. So that we do know. We mentioned that Chris Sale did not pitch the second game. He's out of the playoffs. The Braves will be going and playing the Padres. Let them go cross country and have to deal with them. And the Mets will be dealing with a beast up there in Milwaukee. The Brewers aren't going to be easy. Of all the possible scenarios that the Mets will have to face between now and whenever, the most difficult series they'll have to face is this series against the Brewers, because this is not a great matchup for the Mets. Just due to the fact that the team is very athletic, They pitch really well. They play good defense, and they're tough. They've won a lot, and they know what it takes to win a game. Now, they don't have great history in terms of winning postseason games, but we don't want that to be the case moving forward. Now, tomorrow, which is Tuesday, excuse me, I will be back here at the hut, and we will have a live stream after the game, discussing what's going on in the first wild card game in Milwaukee, and talk about the whole thing. And I want to do a better job than what I did today. So we'll keep score, which I normally do postseason. I'll keep notes. We'll talk about the game after the last pitch is thrown. We hope that the Mets get a win. Pray that the Mets get a win and continue this run. We know one thing about this Mets club. They could take a punch. Most Met teams don't take a punch well. They take a little punch and they're like, But to go back to where I started, this is probably the greatest regular season win in the history of this Mets team. 69 didn't have a game like this. 86 certainly didn't have that. 88 didn't have that. 99 had the playing game. That's about it. 2000 they didn't really have that. Everybody kind of knew they were going to postseason 2000. 2015 was a fun ride. They had that big game against the Nationals. That's probably the closest, but that's sort of an emotional thing than more than anything else. It did occur to me that when Lindor hit the home run, and then I thought, man, this team could go far. I felt that way when the Mets won that game, the Wilmer Flores game, years ago. I felt that way then, and I kind of feel that now, a little bit. But I feel real good about this game on Tuesday, and you should too. The Mets are in it to win it. Now, we're going to follow this. I'm going to put as much effort into this as you can possibly imagine. We're going to have plenty of videos for you on this channel. Hope we can do all the live streams as much as I can. To do work. But the way the Mets schedule is for this first round, I'll be able to do a lot of it. Do live streams after every game. So that's exciting. And again, this is the Best Mets channel on YouTube. Don't let the numbers fool you. This is the most knowledgeable. I'm the most knowledgeable Mets YouTuber online. Nobody's even close to me. And this is the Best Mets podcast on the internet. So we have a lot of fun here, and we're having a lot of fun now. A lot more fun than 2 years ago. 2 years ago was very painful. It was a real chore. But thank you for watching this video, and of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Thank you for watching. I appreciate the time. We're going to have a great postseason. And even if they don't finish this out, it's been a great year. And I thank you for watching this whole year. It's been a lot of fun this year. I hope you had fun. I'm going to keep it going, and I'll see you later.